All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and you're here for this POV on the 2021 Toyota Supra 2-liter, of course. Believe it or not, I actually already did two very lengthy, long, saggy reviews on this vehicle already. I did a full review and I did a comparison with my own LC 500 because, well, I like driving this car that much. And believe it or not, I actually did not get to cover every little facet of what I wanted to cover in those reviews. There's actually still more to talk about, more things to address, and I decided to do that while filming this little POV for you. Currently in the normal mode. Later on, we can try out that little sport mode here. I actually did previously try to, drive around all the traction and everything off, but it didn't really work out for me. I couldn't really get this vehicle to slide. I don't know if the stability control is still on, but this car has a stupid amount of grip, that's for sure. But anyway, we already discussed all that in the review. What I wanted to talk about was actually a few things to do with the exterior of this car. This is one thing I forgot to mention in my full review. So, the exterior of this car, obviously I like the way it looks, but I forgot to mention the fake vents going on with this vehicle. So that's a huge topic of concern for so-called enthusiasts. They sweat all the little stuff, of course. They're concerned with the fact that they use the Supra nameplate on this vehicle. They're concerned with the little vents and all this stuff. The things that have nothing to do with driving is a big deal to these people. So the fake vents, right? Actually, they're not fake at all. They're just they're closed up right now, but actually Toyota intended this vehicle to be a straight up tuner car, like in the traditional sense. They actually want you to go out, modify this vehicle, and as you modify this vehicle, as you put on big brake kits and what have you, they actually want you to open up the vents, right, as you need to. If you're going to tune it, it's going to put down more horsepower, it's going to need more cooling, so open up a few vents for those reasons. That's actually why this vehicle is covered up in all these vents. And another thing, vents on a vehicle, that gives a car, in terms of a style perspective, right, a little bit more of a personality to it. All the crazy shapes and all the vents on this vehicle is actually what leads it to look the way that it does. And that's why everybody's gawking at this thing, pointing at this thing. I mean, people are just so attracted and drawn to this vehicle due to its shape and due to, the styling of this car. And the vents have a lot to do with that. And like I mentioned, you can open it up as you modify this car. So let's mention another thing here. They want you to modify. This is supposed to be a car that's relatively affordable to most normal human beings, so you can have fun with it, modify it, dress it up, do whatever you want with it. Yet even for those reasons, it gets flack, and I just don't really understand why. They blessed us with this car that costs anywhere between $40,000 to $50,000. I get it, that's not a cheap car by any means, but it would have been far more expensive if they did not collaborate with BMW. In fact, this wouldn't even exist. Even if it did exist, nobody would buy it because it would be like six figures. And that's exactly what you have with the LC 500, a vehicle that sells 100 or so a month, Yet they continue to make that vehicle because they're passionate about cars. Because they're passionate, they want to make a slightly more affordable option that's still epic and fun to drive, and that's what this vehicle is. So they took all the best components from BMW, right? The Z4 kind of chassis, and obviously the excellent kind of drivetrains. BMW is best known for their drivetrains and their chassis, right? And that's exactly what they're using here, but it's all completely tuned by Toyota, so it doesn't ride like complete garbage. See, like right there, absorb that just fine. I still have a spinal cord intact, unlike when I drove that AMG GT. And various other M cars, actually. So there you go. Let's kind of switch it over to that sport mode, test out that crispy little transmission. Obviously, it just auto upshifts. That's not surprising. But you see the downshifts, the upshifts, everything is just so crispy with this vehicle. Yeah, love that, man. Anyway, that's what you got here. The stuff that everybody praises BMW for, that's precisely what they used here. And this vehicle, to me, handles and drives far superior. Like the M240i, I find this to be a better driving experience than that. I find this to obviously ride better than a lot of the BMW M products. So that's what you have here, and it's at a relatively affordable rate, 40, 50K. I mean, a loaded up Highlander costs almost $45,000. You see what I'm saying? This is what normal people drive. So normal people are out here financing, vehicles at that price for like $800 a month. So, the Supra, I'll tell you a funny story. So a lady in a brand new Tahoe was just staring at me while I was driving by in the Supra. And I was just like, why? I mean, you have like this $80,000 fully topped out Suburban or whatever. Like, you could have bought this Supra, a RAV4, and like an LS 460 Lexus with like 150,000 miles on it. But no, you decided to not do any of that. So what do you want me to do about it? Nothing. There's really nothing to do there. You didn't take advantage of the opportunity. So clearly people are spending big bucks on vehicles. I mean, I just thought this was a somewhat obtainable one. And it's brand new with a warranty, of course. And for about $53,000, $55,000, you can get a inline 6-cylinder, the 3-liter model, right? With 0 to 60, 3.9 seconds, all that good stuff. I had to bust that move there real quick. Anyway, this is just a 2-liter, and I love driving this. A very balanced feeling vehicle, right? That's what a lot of people praise this car for compared to the 3-liter. So 3-liter is a rocket ship. It's going to be the one that suits most egos, right? Does 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. But again, this is a car that transcends spec sheets, okay? There's plenty of other cars. You can even get like a certified pre-owned Boxster. Came in with a 6-cylinder engine for like probably $55,000 now. The prices kind of went up on those. But honestly, this feels more edgy, feels more lively, feels way more fun to drive, essentially. This car has far more personality. That's just something lacking with a lot of the Euro cars, essentially, that, prevail on the specs, right? They got the turbo engines and all this other stuff. They got the low 0 to 60 times, but numbers really don't translate into a good driving experience. So that's why I like this 4-cylinder. And honestly, with the fake engine noise, it actually kind of sounds like an inline 6-cylinder. And it will crack and fart a little bit when you have it in the sport mode. Obviously, the 3-liter would crack and fart way more than this. But that 3-liter Supra, man, that would have been like a supercar like easily 20 years ago, even like 10, 15 years ago. That's like supercar status, especially with the handling prowess. And the good thing about that vehicle is they actually tuned the chassis a little bit for 2021. I was very pleased when I read that for the 3-liter Supras. So not only does it produce more horsepower, it's still comically underrated, that vehicle, in terms of horsepower. But not only does it make more power, but it's actually also putting down, but it's also got a revised chassis to kind of handle that power, so that's good. But yeah, man, I've just been addicted to driving this car. I can't just stop driving this car. It's so satisfying, and that's precisely why I decided to compare this to the LC 500, because these are two cars that give me a satisfying experience out here on the streets. And this is doing that for me at half the price. Obviously, the LC 500, 6-figure car, it's got its own qualities going on there. But, this is offering me another excellent experience at another spectrum, okay, at more so of the hardcore sports car spectrum, right? So that's what you're getting here. I feel connected to this vehicle. Yeah, the steering is a little numb, but other than that, can't really get away from that with the electric steering rack. But as a connected feeling, right, being one with the vehicle, this is really doing it for me. It feels natural, it feels right. Seating position is great. Hardly any body roll. You can just drive it like a lunatic, just power through corners, no problem, and it's just so much fun. So I hope more people take advantage of this vehicle. Again, it's not cheap, but it's just like the naysayers need to relax. I mean, this car would not exist, nor would it be at this price point if they did not collaborate with BMW. And again, like I mentioned, they collaborated on all the good stuff. They took their drivetrain and their chassis. And the drivetrain, right, the ZF 8-speed along with the inline-4 and inline 6-cylinder engines, they're actually pretty good. They're not half bad in terms of reliability. And Toyota even dissected this entire motor out, right, to make sure it actually meets the company's reliability standards. And obviously it does. That's why they're using it here. What people fail to realize is after the F-body kind of BMW products came out in like the early 2010s, BMW actually started to focus a lot on reliability. And even people who work at BMW dealerships told me that the inline 4s and the inline 6s aren't bad. It's the twin turbo V8s that are very unreliable. So keep that in mind. This, I think you can actually even hold on to this a bit after the warranty period is over and done with. But you can drive for 3 years, not even have to worry about it. So thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.